Alright, welcome. This is going to be a PvE focused video. Comp just recently dropped a large update on us in which we were able to have artifacts and 2 new dungeons, right, because of that, and extending all of our rune farming dungeons up to B12. So because of that, PvE is on everyone's mind. Everyone is showing their videos on their teams, so I figured I may as well show mine. This is actually take 2, and the reason why it's take 2 is because for some reason on take 1, I got the worst RNG in the world and had super slow runs and 1 actual fail. So this is not a perfect team, but it's generally, from what I've seen, I was farming this for about 6 to 8 hours last night and had 1 fail and about 5 or 6 refills. So, but the way this works, tuning wise, is you have your friend go first. And well, I have my friend go first. I don't think Fran should go first. I think Fran should actually go after your debuffers, and you'll see why in a bit. But this is my Guild War Fran for offense. Speed, HP, right? Tanky, normal. But then you should have your 2 anti-buff blockers, or whatever it is, block beneficial effect, should go afterwards. And the whole point is because once you land this and you're able to stabilize, you should take the boss down. So I have Air Guard going. The skill 2 allows you to prevent beneficial effects for 3 turns. This is speed, CD, accuracy. As you can tell, these runes are actually not very good. These are my 20th string bio runes, I think. Most of mine are on Guild War units and Guild War offense and all that stuff. So I wasn't able to scrap together much. Chiwu would go afterwards. Your 2 buffers, your 2 debuffers are interchangeable, but I would say that in terms of speed, I prefer the Air Guard up just a little bit just because it gives you attack buff, right? This is speed, CD, and HP with accuracy subs. And the whole point again is skill 2 is on a 3-turn cooldown. And then I have Lauren, which allows me to use skill 2 to strip the boss. HP, CD, accuracy, some attack, some CD, does some damage. And then we have Crow basically to take this home. Attack, CD, and attack. But still has some tankiness. If I were to make some adjustments to this team, I would make it A, overall a little bit faster. B, I would make it just a little bit tankier. But unfortunately, these are my 30th tier runes or something like that, and I just don't really have the luxury to spare my Guild War runes unless we do some tinkering around. But as you can see, clearing the waves, pretty self-explanatory. And I mentioned earlier that I don't really like the fact that the friend moves in front. Typically, you want your immunity user to go in front, that attack buff giver to go in front. But the reason why I don't, and you'll see in a bit, is that the boss has this passive where if you touch it, it gives an automatic defense buff and shield. And that makes the fight last a lot longer. So if Fran moves in front, sometimes it has the tendency to use skill 1. And when it does that, it procs the boss's defense buff and the shield, which makes it a lot slower. And now you have to wait for all those to go off. You have to strip it. Versus if I let out with my Chiwu and my Air Guard, I'd be able to prevent buffs from appearing right away. So this somehow, I got a little lucky, but also unlucky in the sense that my 2 strippers did not choose to add on weakened, prevent beneficial effects. So a little bit unfortunate there. But now we have weakened, and we should expect that once the Lauren gets the strip on, we have a defense break going on the boss. If Crow uses skill 3, that's the end of the boss battle right here. This team generally last night was getting me, I guess I would say probably 110 on average teams or fights, maybe 120s. But generally it's been pretty consistent. As long as you don't get your friend stunned too much, or you're able to do enough damage, or proc a couple times on damage dealers, that's pretty game over. So that was pretty quick and easy. We'll do a couple more of these. 127. So as you can see, this team got me a 57-second run, which is all right. And so one thing you'll notice is that was blue, right? And I still kept it. And the reason why is that actually, you'll notice that, and I talk about this on my stream, when I actually farm, even if it's runes that we already have, I actually collect everything. And the reason why is that I feel like farming is so monotonous, right? If you train your brain to evaluate every rune as it comes, it's very taxing on the mind. So I treat this kind of like an assembly line, right? If you think back to specialization of task, in this case I'm just hitting go and I'm hitting just collect rune, right? So in this case, every time it's collect, and we go from there. One other thing, I was on Topa's stream earlier and we noticed, dude, there's so much text on these artifacts. There's so, it's speed, HP, defense, that's very simple and easy to understand. But when you talk about attack increase on speed decrease, or attack increase on HP decrease, there's a lot of text to read. It's a lot to process. Also, what type of rune it is, what color, Is it, you know, attack, support, you know, all that stuff? It's a lot to think about. So it's just generally easy to collect. And at the end of the day, you know, let's say you're about to cash it in for the night, then you evaluate your runes, sell off the blues, roll up purples, and go from there, right? The way I look at Summoner's War is that it's a long journey, right? So overall, you want to make your farming as sufficient as possible. You can save 5 seconds of rune evaluation per run. You eventually, over the course of the time that you play this game, will save you days of time. So, took 2 seconds, didn't even read it, collected and go. Now, for the next one, if we drop another one, we'll evaluate it. I'll give you some of my thoughts about the actual artifacts themselves. Right now, it is the Wild West. There's a lot of uncertainty in terms of what's meta, what's not, but I can kind of tell you what I think is going to be where certain stats are great and where certain stats are not, and what you may expect in a player that really prepares for a tournament like SWC. So we'll see that. We'll get to that when we get there, or if you want, you can post in the comments and I could go through some of the artifacts that I've rolled and talk about where I think it could be used. But in general, I think artifacts are very complex. There's a lot of different abilities in them, and it's incredibly hard to rune a perfect one. The roles are very wide. You have so many different skills. You're here to farm for a long time. Comto has basically extended their game by about 3 years, maybe more, by adding these into the game. So in this one here, we have not had the debuff of, you know, prevent beneficial effects. So because of that, this run's going to be going for a little bit longer. So hopefully one of my monsters decides that it needs to do its job and we'll be good. But I guess we're still chilling here. Okay, so Chubu's landed its thing. Once we stabilize, we're good to go. So that'll be it. So this is overall pretty safe team. Obviously, there are hiccups sometimes when a unit gets nuked, or I don't proc, you know, on all my units, or the boss stuns something, you know, or my units just don't strip over and over. But overall, this has for me been about 97%, 96, 95, somewhere in that range percent success rate. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I prefer my Crow to be a little bit tankier, but these are not great runes. So anyways, let's see what we got here. Okay, so in this one here, these are obviously doo-doo. I think interesting to note, this is a fire artifact. If this was like purple or something, I think things like receiving damage from wind are going to be quite good against Lucians. You can do a lot with them on defense. So I think that's one stat to think about and be aware of. Increasing your damage to certain elements, I don't think is very viable. It's very specific. However, if you are preparing for a tournament, or there's something you really wanted to rune against, I think that's actually important. When you prepare for a tournament, you want to think about what your possible draft matchups are, what you're countering, what's countering you, what is that order of draft, so that maybe on certain units, you know you're going to be up. Let's say I bring in a Daphnis, and I know I'm going to be up against Hathors a lot, or I know I'm going to be up against Franz a lot, or Jaegers, right? Like, let's say case in point, I kind of fight a lot of Jaeger users on the ladder, and I'm going to be bringing in, I'm going to need to be able to kill Jaegers. Right now, I can't do it with my skill 3. It takes a lot. You can actually put increased damage on light. If you're going into a tournament and knew that you were going to draft that combination, that's where a rune like that becomes useful. Of course, you could always just get CD on skill 3, which is also great, but it's also a difficult stat to get. All of them are difficult. It's going to come down to efficiency of stats, how much damage overall you're able to add, and just kind of mix and match. If you want, you can post in the comments and let me know if you want me to make a video on how to kind of build your units with respect to the artifacts you have, and I can give my thoughts on that. But in the future videos, we'll have more RTA focused, more summoning focused, more React focused, and I'll tell you what my thoughts are around. I could tell you what my thoughts are around how you should rune your units with respect to the artifacts, and I think that's going to be something that's the Wild West right now. But if you want, you know, or if you have any suggestions on other topics you'd like to see, drop a comment, let me know, or you can ping me on Twitch or just join my stream and you can just say hi. So anyways, this is the team. As you saw, last one was about 105. Sometimes it goes 140. Generally, it's been around the 110, 120 range. So I'm pretty happy with this team. Eventually, once I get my Brigands skilled up and we have a max skilled skill 3, I'll be able to try that in, see if I can go single stripper. Maybe we'll try to replace Lauren for something else. But for now, this is what we're rolling with, and we're just trying to get our initial artifacts. So thanks for watching this video. Next one is going to be on the second artifact dungeon, and then we'll also have a video on packs, the new update packs and which ones are worth it and which ones are not. Spoiler, they are all worth it. And then we'll get into some other tuning videos around ticks and speed tuning later on down the week.